Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Sam here, United People's TV. Yes, we just lost to West Ham and Brighton in the same week. I wouldn't say the top four is now in doubt, but there are questions being asked around Man United's top four hopes this season. We're going to talk about it this morning. As a community, we're going to talk through the 1-0 defeat to West Ham. We are going to talk about David de Gea. You can see from the headline of the show, Erik Ten Hag after the game yesterday saying that he wants David de Gea to stay at Manchester United and to sign a new contract. I think you know what I think about the De Gea situation. I'm going to leave that conversation for, let's call it around about 10, 15 minutes time, because I want to run through the game. I want to hear what you've got to say about the game. A lot of frustration. That's the main word I would use, is frustration. You can use anger if you want. Frustration is what I would say. Going to talk about our misfiring forwards. Going to talk about our away form. Going to talk about, I would say, some tactical errors that Ten Hag made yesterday. Everybody's at fault. I'm going to run through it. Good morning to all of you. Jordan, you're sending a super chat straight away. You're angry with David de Gea, mate. I know you're not the only one, dude. And that's what we're going to speak about in a little bit. But who's down here in the comments this morning? All good morning to you. Lily, I can see you there. Mo, Saturday. We've got Carl, Simon, Julie. We've got Alan. We've got Box, Adibite. We've got Saeed, Peter Griffith, Bradley, White Moss. We've got Ant, Josh. I'm sure you're there as well. Ian Cartwright. I can see you there. Ricky Bell, Martin Baker. Good morning to lots and lots of you. I don't think you could say the result yesterday was a massive surprise. My prediction going into the game was like, if we're going to get it, I guess the 1-0 win, scrappy. But Man United's away form, whew, she bad. She is bad. We've lost now, I believe, we've lost as many away games as Everton, who are stuck there in the relegation zone, in a relegation scrap. That's how good our home form has been. But Man United there, as you can see, losing 8 away games in the Premier League this season. Most away defeats in a single season. It is Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it? Watching United at home and away from home. I still, honestly, I've tried to. I can't put my finger on one player or tactical issue or anything else that I say, if that changed, if that switched, that all of a sudden our away form would be brilliant. It's bigger than that. It's deeper than that. It's definitely, in my opinion, a lot of it is upstairs in the head. I think we're definitely flagging right now. Jeez, we've been flagging for a long time. I'll speak about that. But look at this. I will speak quite passionately. Is not the. I feel pretty confident that David de Gea should not be staying at Manchester United next season. And that's not a reaction to a mistake he made against West Ham. But yesterday, not the first game this season, probably won't be the last game this season, where our forwards are just misfiring. Right? By the time that West Ham had that chance and David de Gea made that mistake, United should have been 1-2 goals ahead. Like, easily. And you look at this stat here. United have failed to score in 4 of our last 6 games in all competitions and not scored in half of the last 10 Premier League matches. You look at our last 3. We lost 1-0 to West Ham. We lost 1-0 to Brighton, and we beat Villa 1-0 at home. Our forwards are flagging. And it's not as if we're not creating anything. That first half, Rashford, it was a tough chance for Rashford in the first 2 minutes, but it was equal. You know how Anthony had that chance away at Brighton in the first 2 minutes? We had a chance in the first 2 minutes away at West Ham again. He fired over. Then Bruno fired a couple of inches wide from the edge of the box. Anthony had another chance as well. Eriksen had a good, I wouldn't say, more of a half chance first time, curled it over. We had like 3-4 pretty good opportunities before West Ham scored that goal. And our misfiring forwards are... I don't know what the... I think I would probably say the misfiring forwards are the biggest issue that I've seen in this last week. Not last week. Last few games. Man United flagging in second halves. Why, it's bad. It's clear as day that the schedule this season has impacted Manchester United. I'll speak about that in a little bit. There's a couple of super chats here. I'll run through this. Paul, you're saying, I'm not happy with the team selection yesterday, and De Gea going backwards took the strength of his right out of his right arm. Why is he going backwards the way he did it? Yeah, people are talking about like his foot in positioning. I'm not getting bogged down into the details of that. Either way, regardless of whether he was, I don't know, he should have made that save. All right. It wasn't going fast. He had a clear sight of the ball, got a full hand to it. Like, there's no way he shouldn't be making that save. Jedi, you're saying every season feels like Groundhog Day at the moment. We start well, finish poorly. We don't know where we stand in the transfer market. I'm tired. You're not the only one who's tired. Every single one of these United players clearly is tired. And we're still... Top four is still in our hands. But yesterday, as I said, I love Erik Ten Hag. I absolutely love Erik Ten Hag. And anybody who wants to try and... I'm sure there's going to be people now trolling saying, what's Ten Hag's style? Man United were better off under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Blah, 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 blah. Just blah, blah, blah. However, starting Weghorst was a weird one yesterday. It really was. And you know full well that nobody is exempt from criticism when it comes to losing multiple games and the same issues existing. Starting Weghorst yesterday in the number 10, you know when it worked. When it worked best was Barcelona away, probably. That was when he first did it, and everyone was like, that's weird. But it really, really worked. Him holding the ball up, feeding the others, it worked. Didn't work yesterday, and Weghorst just isn't working at all. In a team which is like flagging and losing its energy and momentum, Weghorst doesn't help there. And I think the thing that annoyed me the most about Weghorst in that role was the fact that Bruno then had to play on the left wing. And there's absolutely no way that Bruno Fernandes, our best player, our most creative individual, should be pushed out of position to accommodate for Weghorst. That could have been Sabitzer. I mean, as I said, Bruno should have been playing in the number 10. It was a weird one from Erik. I'll be completely honest. I think he got that wrong. So I do think there were tactical issues, certainly, that he could be criticised for after that game. Or you're saying, look, why didn't we bring on Garnacho? Probably our most effective substitute. I'm not particularly sure, because Ten Hag said, Ten Hag did say he was back, and if he's on the bench, then technically he's fit enough. And Garnacho was a man who I felt could have changed the game yesterday. I was hoping it was going to be Weghorst off, Garnacho on, moving Bruno to the middle, and then Garnacho on the left-hand side. I was hoping that was going to be the sub on the 60-minute mark. Martial came on. Martial didn't do much. But I'll be honest, Man United didn't do much. West Ham were playing so deep that even Garnacho would have struggled. Right? They were doubling up, tripling up. There were so many players on the edge of their own box when they were defending, because they were 1-0 up, right? They didn't need to leave too many spaces. So I think Garnacho would have struggled as well. Ray, you're talking about De Gea. You're saying he's on the decline. But my main worry is our goal scoring. Go back to this. We seem to miss our chances, conceding goals, then give up. I don't understand what happened to our goal scoring ability. Everybody's just... I would say, Luke Shaw aside, maybe you can put Lindelof in that as well. But Luke Shaw aside, just everybody in this, like Casemiro, Eriksen, yesterday. Declan Rice made them look like amateurs. Declan Rice was everywhere. Incredible performance from him. Really, really was. And Paqueta as well. Basically, their whole midfield. And that's a midfield that prior to yesterday, they hadn't lost when they started together. Ever. Bruno, Casemiro, and Eriksen. That's now completely gone. It's Is frustrating is a very polite way to describe watching Manchester United right now. Carl, man. Oh, not Carl. Josh. No, I'm just saying different names now. Paul. Thank you very much, dude. You just gifted 5 memberships. What an absolute ledge. I'll leave the gong to the side. Now I'll bring the gong out. Everyone loves the gong. And I love this community. So I serve the community. Big up to you, my friend. Let's run through it. I've just mentioned it there. But Manchester United, right? Like, come on. Dude. That's what I mean. Do you just... Steve. Really? We won most of our games with scrappy goals from individual... You know you're just lying. You absolutely know you're lying. Go back and watch everything. Go back and watch us. I can't be asked for that. I don't get people who at this point then just come in with that sort of sentence. Oh yeah, we're no better off than we were under Solskjaer. It's like, you're being fucking for real. Really? You genuinely think that? All right, cool. All right, fair enough. Ibrahim, you're saying, how does Weghorst not win headers? It's weird, isn't it? How can you be like 7'9" and don't win any headers? I really, really don't understand it. But this will be the first. This will be the first week now that we've got the first week since. Was it September? Or was it December? That we're going to have an actual a week off. That we are not going to have a midweek game. It's mad. That's what happens when you put a World Cup halfway through the season. It's affected everybody. And it's certainly affected Manchester United. I would say Erik ten Hag's style of management, Erik ten Hag's style of not really rotating his players. At this point in the season, it's now certainly hurting us. Because that was just the way he managed. And I think that would be fair to point out that may have been managed better. But at that point, you remember across the course of the season, we just couldn't trust our team when it wasn't the starting 11. And now, we can't trust the starting 11. And it leaves us in this position. Right? Leaves us in this position. Adam, and look, right? This is where I think it's slightly ridiculous that people say this, right? Being tired's an excuse. It's just the fucking facts, mate. This team has been playing every 3 days for months, and there was a World Cup in the middle of it. Physically, it is going to impact these players, and there's so much evidence of that. Man United start games blisteringly. Brighton, really bright in the first half. Faded in the second. Oh, what? They ran out of energy. West Ham started really brightly. 20 minutes. The goal goes in. We crack. We don't have enough energy in the second half. You might just want to say, it's an excuse. You can't use it. It's the truth. It has affected these players. But the weird thing here is it's still totally in Manchester United's hands. And all this frustration, and there's been plenty of frustration. We don't have to look anywhere else. We don't have to look and hope, let's win our games and hope they drop points here or there. No, we don't need to do anything like that. We just have to focus on ourselves. And that's why I'm hoping there's going to be a bit of a difference this week, right? We'll obviously see a difference because we're playing at home against Wolves on Saturday. So the performance will be better. We know that. I think one area where we really should be looking at for improvement against Wolves is that second half. Because even the game against Villa, we faded in the last 25 minutes, but we held out and the one goal was enough. What I want to see against Wolves, which I think we will see because we're having a week off, which would then show that, I don't know, maybe playing twice a week for 4 months with a World Cup in between might have an impact on these players' ability to keep that tempo up for 90. I'm not sure. It's just honestly, it's totally an excuse. I'm just looking for excuses, or I'm just presenting the facts that are in front of you. But this is the run-in. This is the run-in now, right? All Manchester United need to do is match Liverpool's results. I say all we need to do. I mean, we just gone and lost 2 in a row to Brighton and West Ham. And they've been, they won 5 on the spin now? If not more than 5 on the spin. You look at that. If Manchester United do it right, then the game against Fulham doesn't matter. Right? We should be beating Wolves on Saturday. Shouldn't be an issue. Right? My opinion anyway. Can't go in there. You can't go into the game with like complacency or anything like that. But we should be beating Wolves at home, all right? It's not cocky or arrogant to say that. That's just the truth. Liverpool play Leicester away. They're in a relegation scrap. It would be nice if Leicester could do something. And if Leicester do something, then it makes our job easier. Now, you might say that what we're looking at down here. If Brighton win both of that, mate, look at Brighton's running, man. They play Arsenal away, Newcastle away, and City at home. I'm not being rude to Brighton, but yeah, shit me. If they come out of those with 6 wins, they probably deserve to get into the top 4. I don't think they will. I'm only really looking at Liverpool. I think if anybody comes in and spoils a party for us this season, it's going to be Liverpool. So all we've got to do is match their results. Beat Wolves at home, should be doing that. Right, fine. You beat Leicester away. We go Bournemouth away. It's going to be hard. Chelsea managed to win their 3-1 at the weekend, though. So we should be able to win. By saying that, just United away from home. You just cannot trust us. But again, we are going to have a week's rest. I think you're going to see significantly improved second half performances from Manchester United in these next 2 games. That would be one of my first things to say. I hope that's correct. But do you think that we'll still get top 4? Let's put a little poll up. Right, let me close that. 1 second here. Let me get this poll up for you. Will United finish in the top 4? Right? Yes or no? Say every time. Apologize to anybody watching on Facebook because I can't put that poll up for you. But you let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to go down here and read some of your comments out now. Let's put a picture of Ten Hag up. Jay, you're saying I had a funny feeling we'd become unstuck in these last 2 away games. I mean, we all have. This is, if we go back to that stat there, Man United away from home, it is a travesty how bad we are. Really, really, really how bad we are. Jason is saying Wolves game is now our cup final. Jeez, man. It shouldn't. Well, this is why I was happy that we made a buffer. We had that buffer because we have needed that buffer. That Spurs performance the second half, Villa performance in the second half, Brighton in the second half, West Ham from about the 30th minute. Faded. Finishing poor. Lack of control. I mean, we really controlled and dominated that first 20, 30 minutes against West Ham. You play against a team that doesn't press, we are so much more comfortable. So much more comfortable. Mecca, you're saying we finished the last 2 seasons poorly. Hopefully we can turn it around and score. It's too late. Hopefully we can turn it around before it's too late. That's what I mean. As I said, the frustration is there. The frustration is there, but it's still just in our hands. Which, I mean, it's easier said than done, right? Yeah, it's definitely easier said than done. Paul, there's a good question down there, and I was thinking about this. I need to go back and look at the results. But it's been a while, man. It's been a while since Manchester United controlled a game from the first minute to the last minute. Really has. I know we've done it this season. I really, really know we have done it this season, but it's just been too and far between. Let's have a look down here. Shaw's crossing is also missing. Man, there's a lot of things missing from this team. It's almost like losing your two main centre backs is going to be an issue. But as I said, Luke Shaw is one of the only players I think who has managed to sort of maintain quality over these last few games. But I'm gonna come back to the poll at the end of the show, and I'm gonna look at what you're saying there. But we've got to move on to what I would say is the biggest individual player talking point from that game yesterday. Sorry about that. David de Gea. Right. As I've said and I've explained in the first 20 minutes of this video, David de Gea was not the only issue yesterday. Man United's abysmal away form. Man United's misfiring forwards. Man United's inability, pardon me, to perform over 90 minutes and how much we fade in the second half. But David de Gea yesterday, that mistake. Hey, look, individual mistakes happen in football. Look, Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw had the 2 games where 2 individual mistakes have hurt Manchester United badly. But David de Gea yesterday, right? What's your reaction to it all? I think you saw my reaction in my match reaction. And I've made my opinion on David de Gea pretty clear, right? Pretty clear this season. So to see Erik ten Hag saying this after the game, saying, look, we want David de Gea to stay and we want him to extend his contract. I want to know your reaction and your thoughts on this, all right? Because we know full well that Manchester United have been in contract negotiations with De Gea for a long, long time now. He's on £375,000 a week at the moment. He's our number 1 goalkeeper. It's about finding that balance. Well, as it stands, looking for that balance on the wages. And we're looking in the region of £200,000 a week for De Gea. How can we possibly be looking at that? Honestly, I think this Ten Hag has had to, let's be honest. There has been a lot of side stories at Manchester. Side stories. There's been a lot of distraction at Manchester United this season. It's not been a season where Ten Hag can just focus on the football. Not much else is going on. The Cristiano Ronaldo situation, the Mason Greenwood situation, and a World Cup halfway through the season, amongst other things, including, I don't know, the club getting sold. So, and people, oh, Sam, you're coming with excuses again. How is it me presenting facts about what's happened this season? Excuses? No, that's called context. And context is so important. But I would genuinely say, and I don't, I'm sure there are plenty of people who are going to disagree with me. I think how Ten Hag manages this De Gea situation is probably the most important managerial decision that Ten Hag has had to make to date. Up until that Ronaldo situation, that was the most important decision that Ten Hag had to make. And I think he got it spot on. What goes on with Mason Greenwood? I think Ten Hag's got to be involved in that. You know my opinion on that. We'll find out in the goodness of that. I think the longer it goes on, the more I think United might think, you know what, we can just put him back in the squad. No one will care. They will. He shouldn't go back in the squad. But De Gea, right? Just think about the logic and think about the idea here that Man United, because there's 2 explanations. What's your take on this, right? What's your take on De Gea, on Ten Hag saying that about De Gea? Is he just saying that in the press, or is he genuinely thinking that? Because it would it would be such a surprise for somebody who's so kind of stubborn, Ten Hag, in his principles, in his methods, in his decisions. For him to then say, De Gea, yeah, we wanted to stay, when it is so painfully obvious that he does not suit Ten Hag's system where he wants to go. And Ten Hag doesn't have a system. Go and do some research, please. Go and read it, please. There's a super chat there. I want to read that out. And there's another comment there that I definitely want to read out. Would we ever have got more of a point out of yesterday's game? No one is firing and everyone looks tired. Will a week's rest make a big difference? I mean, I hope it will, Dave. I might be spectacularly wrong, and hey, it won't be the first time. But I think that week's difference will make week's rest, will make a big difference. Certainly to how we play in the second half, where we've dropped off hugely. Let me pull this one up down there. Right, JJ, I'm going to call you out on this one. I'm interested to see what this says. Let me pull this up on screen. You now have to write today. You back Ten Hag. I don't know what you're saying there. As you do not back his decisions as he wants to keep. What? I'm not putting that. I can't even read what that is. Be better. You've gone from a reputable source to a gossip columnist. My agenda's pathetic. Cheers, buddy. Thank you for the really constructive and encouraging comment there that I couldn't even read. Appreciate that. Mecca. David de Gea's got to go, he says. Right, let's pull this up. Been saying it since he feigned injury and conceded versus Arsenal a couple of years back. Can't play football. Distribution's poor. Terrible at corner still. If people think that I'm having this conversation around De Gea because he's made a howler of a mistake yesterday, then you really haven't been watching this channel. You really haven't been listening to what I'm saying. That was not the biggest problem with De Gea yesterday. Can you see how these players play around him? They don't have the confidence in him. De Gea doesn't have the confidence in himself. He just doesn't suit the system. You know, when new managers come into football clubs, there are certain players and individuals inside that club where it just doesn't match up anymore. There's always casualties when new managers come in and they look at the squad they've got and they go, well, you fit the bill, you fit the bill, you fit the bill, you fit the bill. No, you don't really. Unfortunately for De Gea, he falls in that category. And the idea that Manchester United might be that, I think that's what makes it more complicated, right? That's what makes it more complicated. If De Gea's contract wasn't running out, say De Gea had 3 years left in his contract, right? Easy, right, done. And we weren't in contract negotiations. It was just a simple conversation around whether Man United should be signing a new goalkeeper this summer and phasing De Gea out. It'll be a far easier conversation than the one that it is, because we're talking about whether Manchester United should be giving him a new contract. You can't, at this moment in time, there's no way you can possibly justify to me that we should be giving David De Gea a new contract worth 200 grand a week. That's like one of that would make him one of the highest earning goalkeepers in the entire league. I mean, I'd be surprised if maybe Edison's got more would be on more than that. It might make him still the highest earning goalkeeper. We can't possibly justify that. And that's what makes it a more difficult decision, because it's either that or he walks out of the club for free in the summer. And if we do that, then we have to sign a new goalkeeper. Do we have the funds to sign a new goalkeeper? With everything we need to do with a striker and a midfielder as absolute priorities. There's a couple of super chats here. I'm going to read quite a few of your comments out around this one, because this is, as I said, for me, I feel that how Ten Hag manages this is a really pivotal moment in how he shapes his squad and how strong he is with his decision making. Because maybe it'll be out of his hands financially. And maybe that's going to be the issue. Right. There's a couple of super chats. I want to read these ones out. Jaycon, I honestly think it was just saving face, similar to Ole saying, I want Sanchez to stay. I reckon he just didn't want to bury him. Jay, because I feel that Manchester United should be moving De Gea on, that's what I would love to believe as well. And I remember Ten Hag when he was speaking about Ronaldo through. He was complimentary to Ronaldo the whole way through. I just don't think Ten Hag really. If there's any Ajax supporters watching, can you let me know? But he's not really ever somebody to truly speak his mind in a negative sense about players. I remember Noah Lang was one player that obviously that was when he argued with him on the sideline and he got. I think he went out, got shipped out on loan quite soon after that. Or you're saying the sale just dragging on doesn't help Ten Hag. He pretty much said he doesn't know what his transfer plans we have. We need an overhaul. Man, there's a big old overhaul that's still needed at this club. Have we got the right manager in? I think we do. Have we got the right players in? I think some of them we do. Do we need more? Yes. Do we need a new board? Yes. Do we need new owners? Yes. Do we need a new stadium? Yes. Do we need a new training ground? Yes. So much to do with this football club. Craig, you're saying, love this community and the content. If I don't watch live, I always catch up in a day. Hopeful for top 4. But seeing Arsenal collapse worries me. Well, Arsenal did look pretty damn good against Newcastle yesterday. I'll be completely honest. Ray, you're saying De Gea, an excellent shot stopper. De Gea, at once upon a time, De Gea was just really consistent with that, but he's lost that as well. And you're saying it does kind of feel sometimes you're focusing on a broken window when the house is on fire. And we've just sat here as a community, and for 20 minutes after that game, I didn't mention David de Gea's name once. I talked about our misfiring forwards. I talked about Manchester United's lack of ability to see out 90-minute games. I talked about Manchester United's scheduling. I talked the problems with Ten Hag's substitutions. And I laid everything down there. And now that I'm speaking about David de Gea, I'm focusing too much? No, I'm not. I do not believe that whatsoever. But he's such a big problem. Such a big problem for Erik Ten Hag and these players. That was the thing that really confused me the most about that game yesterday. Julie, thank you so much, Julie, man. Thank you very much for being a mod and for helping as well, and for all the other mods. Craig, you say missed my first super chat. Where's that? Oh my god, no, I didn't. I spoke about it up there. I'm pretty sure I did up there. Yeah, I did. Sorry about that. I'm Potato. What are you saying? You're saying I agree with you on De Gea's future, but one thing he never does is hide. Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, he speaks quite well as well. But the thing that I found probably most concerning about that game yesterday was how much just Man United snapped like a stick after we conceded that goal. Just, it's like we were a balloon and got deflated. As soon as that goal went in, it goes to show the Man United as a squad currently right now, the way we're playing, we're just teetering on the edge. It's not very difficult to topple Manchester United's confidence right now, which is really, really worrying. We're fading. Typically, towards the end of a season, that's where you sort of grow into it. It's where the pressure increases, and the team comes together. Liverpool right now, they're showing that. Man United are doing the total opposite. And I've maintained it the whole way through. The peak of our season was Newcastle in the League Cup final. Ten Hag's, I think even Ten Hag's kind of lost a bit of his mojo since Newcastle. Like prior to that, when we had the Barcelona games, but he was really impacting most games with substitutes. Even if he made tactical tweaks, you were like, that's a bit weird. It worked. I think everybody's just lost a bit of their mojo. But De Gea, it's not a case of, it really isn't a case of he's lost his mojo, which he has anyway. But he just does not fit. The shoe does not fit with De Gea. And no amount of clean sheets in the Premier League will change my opinion on that. Could the midfield have done more yesterday? Yes. Could the defense have done more yesterday? Yes. Will that change my opinion on whether I think De Gea will fit this team? No. Do I think that De Gea should be getting a contract worth 200 grand, actually probably more than 200 grand a week? We're seeing reports he's rejected that. No, I do not. Man United cannot justify giving De Gea a contract in excess of 200 grand a week. You know what we've always complained about at this club for years now? Giving players inflated contracts when they don't deserve them. And I don't think De Gea, I don't think this version of David de Gea comes to that negotiation table and deserves to be given in excess of £200,000 a week. I just don't think you can justify it. Shafiq, you're saying Ten Hag will be judged after this next transfer window. We do have a goalkeeper in the U team who can, what's his name? Vitek? I think it's Vitek. Henderson, I personally checked out on Henderson after he gave that interview last year. Maybe I was too quick to say that. Maybe Henderson will come back in. I don't personally think so. Man. What else are you saying down here? Alex, you're saying he can stay on 150 grand a week. So that's who signs? Who has goalkeepers on 150 grand a week on their bench? Yes. Seriously, does that exist anywhere else? Is there any club in the Premier League? I mean, it's going to be impossible for anybody to sort of look at this sort of data now. There surely is not a goalkeeper in the Premier League that's on 150 grand a week to sit on the bench. And I don't particularly think that Ten Hag will want to. I don't personally think it's a difficult decision anymore. But that's my opinion. I do not think that De Gea should be getting a new contract right now, when it's just so obvious that it's just not going to work out. And I'm guessing that Ten Hag is saying one thing to the press and having conversations behind the scenes, but that's just an assumption because I want it to be true. Lots of you talking about Jadon Sancho down there. Don't think he was ever going to really impact that game. The way that West Ham set up in that second half, I think even if Garnacho came on, he would really have struggled because they got their goal and they were sitting there and they defended on the edge of their box and they didn't need to do much else, did they? They deserved. I'm not saying they went like full park the bus mode, but they just got into their two lines and they were disciplined and they hit fast in the counter. And that's what you can do when you're 1-0 up. You've done the difficult part. You've scored. If you then only just need to not concede, and you can play that. It's the first time that David Moyes has beaten United since he got sacked as United manager. This De Gea situation. My video this lunchtime is on De Gea. All right. And people think it's just because De Gea made a howler of a mistake yesterday. That it's just because De Gea had a howler of a performance away at Sevilla. It's not that. It's just not that. Every player makes mistakes, sure. But it's far deeper and far wider than that. And that's why my video at lunchtime today is going to be on De Gea, is going to be on Ten Hag, and why I think it is going to be, up until this point, the single most important decision that Ten Hag has to make as a manager. Because I think if he I think if Ten Hag gives De Gea a new contract, I'd really have to question that decision. Really, really would. Let me see what else you're saying down here in the comments. Oh, man, I'm Potato, dude. What a ledge. Absolute icon of the community down there. You just gifted 10 memberships. It really is I try to, my natural disposition is to be positive, right? My natural position is to be positive. And I still think, as I said, I don't think top four is totally in our hands. We can still end this season with the League Cup, with top four, and just pray for a miracle in the FA Cup final. But my word, we are making it hard for ourselves. And there are problems that have existed all season that are sort of rearing their ugly head. The really poor finishing. I think Ten Hag, with the Weghorst decision, yeah, obviously. Ten Hag is he's losing some of his mojo. I think Ten Hag is fading. I think everybody at this football club right now is just, instead of going upwards, they're sort of like they're shrinking a little bit. They are shrinking a bit. What else are you saying down here in the comments? John, you're saying, can we move on to ownership now? Yep, I'm going to be speaking about that next, just to wrap up this conversation. Meki saying the only reason they'll give De Gea a new contract is so that we can sell him. Well, let's be totally honest. I can't rule that out. And I cannot rule that out. And you're saying we don't all think that, but you need to do at least 4 videos, that's how many players need seriously looking at. I mean, I've already done my I've done my keep sell, and I've kind of gone into all the individuals. But De Gea for me is because of how important a goalkeeper is in this modern style and system. They're more than just a goalkeeper. They're a playmaker. They are the first line of the... I'll run it. Oh, my God. I think I just see it a bit... No, I don't see it differently. There's a lot of people who agree. But there's a reason why De Gea deserves more spotlight. It's because it's fundamental and it affects so many other players. So much of our build-up, so much of our football system depends on that goalkeeper that Ten Hag is trying to bring into this club. Has he got it there yet? Nope. Remember at the start of the season, we were speaking about how far along the... say if 0%, that's when Erik Ten Hag came in, and 100% is Ten Hag's perfect team, flawlessly winning 5-0 every single week. How far along that journey are we? I think we agreed at some point, probably around about the Newcastle time, we agreed that we were like 40, 50% of the way there. I think that's kind of reversed a little bit, hasn't it? There's still so much more to do, and for me, the goalkeeper is... Well, Ibrahim, you're saying Glazers out is more important than top 4 now? Dude, Glazers out has been more important than anything to do with this season. Let's move on to this conversation here around Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos's bid. Because when the news first broke about that bid structure from Ineos, the idea... So, of course, you know full well by now, right? The Glazers own 69% of Manchester United. The 31% is available on the New York Stock Exchange, publicly available, although all power of voting remains with the Glazers. So when Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos came out and the news broke that they might offer to buy out all the other siblings and allow Avram and Joel Glazer to stay at the club, alarm bells. Alarm bells everywhere. Because all of us want the Glazers out of the club. Now, Mark Kleiman, who is the city editor for Sky News Business, he was the man who first broke the story of the Glazers actually putting the club up for sale. This story came out over the weekend about the actual structure of a little bit. This is one thing I keep saying that we need a bit. We've been waiting for more of, and maybe this is more PR spin. And more media control and X, Y, Z, and what everybody says on any article to do with the takeover. But it's more to do with the actual structure of the takeover itself. And we can read through this now. Let me go full screen. You don't need to see my face on this. The billionaire petrochemicals tycoon Jim Ratcliffe is proposing a full buyout of Manchester United after 3 years. Sky News has learned that the Ineos billionaire's takeover bid includes out and put and call arrangements, which would become exercisable in 2026 and which would pave the way for the Glazer family's complete exit as shareholders. Now, I'm going to have to speak to somebody with a bit more knowledge on the actual definitions there. But basically, the story is saying that Ineos plan to buy the Glazers out in a phased manner. Instead of it being all 69% straight away, it would be 50%, and then within 3 years, getting the Glazers out. That's the concept that we're reading here. Now, a video that I wanted to do today, but I'm totally honest, I'm delaying that by 1 day because I'm doing another video on De Gea. I am. The video I want to do is going to be totally objective because I don't know how long we're going to be waiting to find out who's a preferred partner. I really, really don't. So I'm going to do a video on looking at the Ineos bid and looking at the Qatari bid. And I'm going to look at the pros and the cons of both, because both have pros and both do have cons. And I'm going to objectively line it all up alongside each other and fully compare it all. And at the end of it, go, that one would be best for the club. Taking all the context and all the stories together, that one would be the best for the club. That's what I'm going to do in a video tomorrow. I think it's going to be a really important one because, yeah, we're now hearing that the plan is to get the Glazers out. But the word I don't like inside this article is this, right? If we go down here, where is it? I think down here. There. Sources said this weekend that Sir Jim's offer for majority, and let me make that yellow for you so you can read it, that Sir Jim's offer for majority ownership would include the put and call options, which, if triggered, not when they were triggered, but if they were triggered, would either force the Glazers to sell the remaining shares to him or force him to acquire them. So what that is saying there is it wouldn't be an obligation for Jim Ratcliffe to trigger that. It wouldn't be an obligation for the Glazers to sell after 3 years. Again, that would cause massive concerns to me. I don't want hypotheticals. I don't want ifs or maybes. I want the Glazers out of the club. Simple as that. That's why I never liked the idea, the structure of that deal from Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe. And I don't like that either. Or what you're saying here. Playing devil's advocate. If SJR is taking out a loan to buy us, what happens when he needs to buy out the Glazers later? More debt onto Ineos and the club. Well, you know, I know as well that if Ineos are successful, that debt gets taken away from Manchester United directly. The debt comes off our books. Ineos refinance that with one big old lump sum, one big new loan. That then goes on Ineos's books. And that will go against Manchester because inside the Ineos finance structure, there'll be a big book that says Manchester United with all of our numbers in there. And that's where that will get lumped into. So the liability of that debt, if the bank come knocking, we changed our mind, lads. We need that loan back right now. Ineos have got to pay that back. not Manchester United. However, this is what I've always said, and this is a personal feeling, is I feel that debt could still indirectly impact Manchester United. If Ineos have got to pay X amount of millions back per month or per year on that loan, will it still impact their ownership of the club? And I think it would. Shafiq, you're saying, hypothetically, if we do not sign a keeper, where do you think United will finish next season? Jeez, I can't answer that question, dude. I couldn't answer that question if you say, look, hypothetically, or what if we sign Harry Kane, where are we going to finish next season? This summer is, and that's the issue that I think everybody's correct in highlighting. This summer is not a time where Manchester United can just bring in one player and solve one problem and it all gets fixed. There's serious holes and weaknesses inside the squad, and they kind of all got to get put together. Steve Hawke, the debt will be a drop in the ocean for Ineos. Yeah, it will be. According to their revenues, according to the size of their business, sure. But in my opinion, I feel it will still indirectly be part of the thought process. You can't ignore that. And if Ineos have got to take out, which of course they do, they have to take out loans to finance the purchase of the club. You'd imagine the exact same thing would happen for a new training ground. You imagine the exact same thing would happen for a new stadium. So that's going to be more and more put on top. From a day-to-day perspective, well, Manchester United right now, we're kind of losing money as a business. But once this is all redone and restructured, we should become far more self-sustainable. We should be able to spend a lot of our own cash on players. So it's not as if we need a huge checkbook for that. Tell you what, man, there's a lot of infighting, I would say, among United fans, because we are all pig sick of talking about the takeover. We want the takeover to happen. We want to be able to look ahead to the future with that optimism. We're so close to it. You can almost taste it, and you still can't get it because the Glazers are dragging this out. We don't know what. I think the transfer window opens in around about just over a month, I believe. And we don't even know who owns our football club anymore. Well, we know at the moment. And that is the core of all this frustration that exists inside this community now. This community, we're normally sound as a pound. We're normally able to speak about, oh, I'm getting dragged into it. I'm so steadfast on it. I normally sit on the fence and I try to sort of see both points of view. But I can't see that with De Gea anymore. I can't see a point of view where you can genuinely argue to me that we should be giving him a contract in excess of 200 grand a week and justifying it. It's just, I can't. But maybe part of that decision for me to be so steadfast there on the De Gea situations because I'm so damn frustrated about what's going on with the ownership of our football club. It all links and it's all interweaved. Man, this season's been exhausting to watch as a fan, to cover, let alone to actually play it. Jason is saying, if Sam might just be a public statement to favour a decision from the Glazers, but there is real intent behind the scenes to carry it out. Ifs and buts. Ifs and buts. Stephen, what a weird comment. Who is anybody coming out after that game yesterday and saying, "Oh, the Bruno needs criticising"? Really? I don't know whether I'm sarcastically laughing about that. Really? Is that something that people think? The dude was like shifted onto the left wing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Andrew, saying, I think the club ownership is influencing our manager's mindset. I mean, it's influencing every single aspect of this football club. And yeah, as I said, if I compare David de Gea now, sorry, not David de Gea, My bad. We keep talking about David de Gea. If I compare Ten Hag now to sort of how he was a few months ago, I think he's lost something. Everybody's just lost something. It's almost like we've played more games than anybody inside Europe's top 5 leagues. It's almost like we're fading. It's almost like our goal scorers have lost an edge, have lost a touch. It's almost like we've lost our main 2 centre-backs. It's almost like we are struggling. And we are struggling. Top 4 still in our hands, though, which is such a weird thing to say, but still totally in our hands. Although, can you really trust Manchester United to do that? I don't really think you can. Let's have a look what you're saying down here. Dan, I do think Bruno's finishing needs criticising. If you're looking at the last 30 shots, dude, you want to talk about finishing and criticising? Where's this stat? I don't know where it is. Nobody's created more chances than him this season in the Premier League. Like, literally nobody. He should have, like, double the amount of assists he does. Our finishers just keep absolutely spooning the chances he creates. It's mad. Hydra is saying, I'm thinking De Gea is only staying because Ten Hag has no idea whether he has the cash to buy a new goalkeeper or not. If Man United, going into this summer, if we had no worries about the owners. The takeover was already complete. We had new owners in, and we'd still have concerns around FFP this summer, regardless of who our new owners. It's not as if a new owner comes in and we can just slap a 500 mil on the table and go, let's just sign the world. Hypothetically, if finances were not an issue that had to be thought about, I don't think this De Gea conversation would even really exist. I think Man United would have already made the decision to move him on. And I think Ten Hag would already be making the decision to sign that goalkeeper. I do think that's part of it. What else are you saying down here? Right, I can see quite a few talking about Sam Luckhurst. What's he been saying? Right, what does this say? Is this just an opinion? I'll tell you what. Nah, we don't need to get into that. There's not really much new. We've already just had a whole conversation around Ten Hag and De Gea, and my lunchtime video is going to be on him. Look, I know you're frustrated, peeps. I know that plenty of you will disagree with how set my opinion is of David De Gea and how much of a problem I think he is. I understand that. I think you're wrong, but I understand that. And you know what I think about the emotional connection to David De Gea, what he's done in the past. Right? I hope that after this chat we've had this morning that I don't know. Sometimes it's good to talk it out. Otherwise, it just sort of plays over in your head and you get really frustrated. Our forwards are crap right now. Our manager has lost some of his edge. His decisions are not anywhere near as impact as his decisions were. He's starting to make mistakes with his starting 11. We can't see a game out. Our away form is abysmal. But still, top 4's in our hands. I'm very glad that for the first time since September, we're going to have a week off because these players need it. And if we don't see a big improvement in the second half performance against Wolves, I'll be very, very surprised. That's a personal opinion. Let's find out about it. Ibrahim's saying, look, we need a bigger protest before the Wolves game. I don't think a protest is organised for that game, my friend. And a comment from you to finish up the show. Not frustrated, just deflated. The positivity has drained from us like a boil being lanced. Yeah. We do feel deflated. It's exactly what I said. Like Man United, we got, as a team on Sunday, we just got popped. As soon as that De Gea mistake, as soon as we conceded, we got popped. We just couldn't recover. And then the result happened there. Look, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate that right now. It's a frustrating time around the football club. It doesn't mean that we're not going to talk. We talk every day here, Monday to Friday, regardless of whether we're spanking teams and winning it all or whether we're playing crap and losing 2 games, 1-0 in the space of a week. Not been the best of weeks. It's a week off now. I guess it allows us a little bit of time to focus on the. I'm going to be doing more takeover stuff, more conversation points and talking. I'm definitely going to be speaking about De Gea. Frustrating, deflating. I know it is. The top 4, as I said, and I'll finish on that. If we get the results that we should be getting in these last few games, we don't have to look anywhere else. We just have to look at ourselves. The whole season boils down to the next 4 games in the league. All the work that we've done in the Premier League all comes down to these last 4 results. Just like, wake the fuck up, lads. All right? Don't throw it away.